All right, folks, let's get going. We'll call to order the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and Fire District regular meeting. Today is Monday, October 7th, at 6:31 p.m. The notice requirements of Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code and the implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Roll call.
Paroli here.
Fullerton here.
O'Neill here. Let's stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes pending approval. You gentlemen have both seen the September 9th and the September 25th meeting minutes.
Yes.
Any questions on them?
I do not.
Move to approve.
I would move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Both those will be both of them, both September 9th and September 25th meeting minutes are approved. Consent agenda. Everybody has seen the fiscal service, fire, police, and zoning reports.
Sorry.
Yes, I have.
Any questions or discussions on those?
Actually, I did have on the financial reports. Let's start on the fire district side. I noticed that year-to-date, all interest has been credited to the general fund. Is there a reason that we're not allocating any of the interest to the bond fund? Because that's like a key in being able to pay that building off early.
The way UAN sets it up, it only allocates to the one fund when it's set up. You can't split the interest into the one interest account into different.
But how does that?
You can still use the money for the bond account.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is, so the bond account,
Speak up. I can't hear back here. Thank you.
sorry, the bond account doesn't show having anything other than the tax revenue to it. So how do we know it's currently earning 5+% interest at the, in Star, Ohio? If we're allocating that money to the general fund, do we then need to transfer the interest
Yes,
to, okay, so
Yeah.
what's our process for doing that?
make a resolution. We can either do it by the quarter, by the year. You can do it every month, you can do it every month, but you need to authorize me to transfer into the bond account.
Okay, so that's something that we need to calculate how much the bond fund should, like, because it works the same way, like, same thing on the township side. We're not allocating any interest to the police fund, we're not allocating anything to road and bridge. Given that those funds are restricted in what they can be used for, I would think that the correlating interest that's earned from those would have to be used for the same purposes, right?
But it is allocated there. That's why it's called a pooled account. If you look at the top section of the one report.
Right.
Where it says the balance and then the money plus pooled. Again, that's the way UAN sets it up. I can put in a note to local government and see how they wanna do that, but
Well, I mean, if we can do it through resolution, we can definitely, I can work on doing that. I was just
Okay.
curious as to, would it make it easier? I know like on the township side, we have separate Star Ohio accounts for different ones. And I noticed in those cases, obviously the interest gets allocated correctly. Should we just do the same thing with Star Ohio, like on the fire, have one for bond and one for general?
we could,
Okay,
definitely.
all right.
I would prefer to do it. Is that what you wanna do? Do you wanna open a separate one or?
In that regard, whatever makes your life easiest is, but to me, it's important because, again, if we've got $800,000 sitting in the bond fund that's for paying off this building. That's gonna generate $40,000 in interest this year, that's gonna shave off time, get that levy retired and reduce the tax burden on the residents. But if we're not allocating it to that fund, you know, it's just sitting in general fund and it won't be spent. But anyway, that answers my question.
If it's easy enough for you, I would recommend we just have 2 separate Star Ohio funds, wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah.
that way, every time interest is earned.
Correct, like I said, whatever's easiest for moving money.
So then we can just make a resolution to transfer the back interest into that account, and we'll open the new Star
Okay.
account with that.
We'll get that ready for the next meeting then. Because you said we can just figure it out in retroact. Okay, we'll do it for the next meeting.
Any other questions on the department reports?
No.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Laura, fiscal.
Yes, I sent you the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission. It's a boilerplate resolution that we do every year. There is one for the fire department and one for the township. If somebody would like to make a motion.
Just for the record, the resolution for the township will be 18. We've got 17 already.
What was the one on the fire district side?
14.
It's 14.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 18 for the township and 14 for the fire district, accepting amounts and rates from the county auditor.
I will second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Resolution 18 on the township side and 14 on the fire district side passes. Laura, anything else
No.
to fiscal? While we are on fiscal though, we've got both salaries and on both the township side and the fire district side are kind of winding down to the, to what we've appropriated. So, I spoke with Laura on the fire department side. We're gonna have to come up with roughly, what, 28,000 on the salaries for the chief and fire, assistant chief. And then, probably 36,000 for staff. And that would be inclusive of benefits as well, right, Laura?
Yes.
So that's salary, wages, and benefits for it.
There's no benefits on the fire side. There's just the fire.
That's true. We have 840,000 roughly unappropriated on the fire department side. So I would make a motion to transfer or supplement the 1,220,100 fund for salaries with 28,000 and the 1,230,190 fund for 36,000.
How do you, I know you said you worked with Laura on those. I came up with numbers a little bit higher just based on what we spent year to date. I was, you know, based on, again, what we appropriated, and I'm gonna say maybe off of the 220. That's probably because we had been paying Captain Savetsky out of that,
Probably.
and we're not any longer.
Correct. That's probably the biggest portion out of that one, right?
Yeah,
And my
so
numbers
I-
weren't huge difference, just so that we're on the same page. I'd come up with 33.5 probably needed in that account, but again, Captain Savetsky's pay no longer being in there might be the difference, and about 40,000 on salaries, but obviously that's gonna fluctuate some too, depending on
Right.
call-outs and stuff, so.
Yeah, so I took Brian's salary and Tim's salary times 6 more payrolls. And then added in the FICA with the 26,084, so we just rounded it up to 28.
Okay.
And then on average, the fire salaries, when we paid 12 and 16, so on the high side, and we have holidays coming up and overtime and stipends, so.
Okay. And then we don't have anywhere to do like an offset, because we don't have like,
I mean, there's funds here that there's some left.
but not enough to,
Right.
okay.
But if you feel more comfortable with appropriating 40,000 for the, whatever is not used, it's gonna go.
Well, right,
it's gonna
right.
Come back next year's.
I guess, just the two things on that is, obviously, we can always do another appropriation. If we do need to put more funds in there. But when we did appropriations at the beginning of the year, we kind of talked about how we were appropriating more than what the revenue comes in. So, now we're adding another $64,000 to a budget that was already exceeding what we brought in this year, so. But, yeah, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I'm fine with those amounts, unless, Ty, do you have any?
No, I agree with you. I mean, if for some reason it's a little short going forward, then we can always we can relook at it at the end of the year,
Right.
but I think if Laura's comfortable with that, then we'll just stick with that.
Okay.
So 28 and 36?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Motion carries. I don't have anything else.
Laura has to leave, and I did tell you guys that I would meet with her about the credit card policy and purchasing policy and that. Can we do that while she's still here? Because she's HR.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you want to do the township side too?
Yeah, I was gonna,
Ah, we did breeze right past that one. My apologies. We have two areas on that side, zoning, which were at about 87% of the expected salaries. However, we're way short on the secretary side, so I think that Laura could pull from admin's appropriation category to finish out the year for zoning. We've got salaries for the secretary, we're only at 58% of what we expected to
Right.
be for the year. So I don't think there's any need.
and what do we need to cover the rest of the zoning salaries?
You were gonna need about 4,000, I believe you were estimating,
Yes.
so I think we.
And then
And
don't
does-
forget the trustee salary.
Correct,
Well,
correct.
Will 9,500 will cover the rest of, because that's, if we take the 4 out of the
Yeah.
township secretary, that leaves 95.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I think it will. And again, if it's short, we can reappropriate on this side as well.
Right, but we said, the way we said appropriations at the beginning of the year was to try to keep within the budget of the revenue, how much we were bringing in. So, if we can move it around
Right.
versus reappropriating, because,
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I would leave that one untouched for now,
Which one?
the zoning portion, zoning salaries.
Didn't we, I thought we needed to put 44,000.
What I'm
into it.
saying is I think she can pull from.
Oh, right.
To cover those.
Reallocate, reduce
Yes.
township secretary
Yeah.
by 4,000,
Because
push it
she
to
can-
zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
However, with the trustees and fiscal officer, she estimates we're gonna need another $8,000, correct, Laura?
Yes.
And that one, probably not so easy to pull from another area.
Why?
I mean,
For the
let's-
trustees?
Yes,
The appropriation for the year, we have 15, that's a set dollar amount that we knew at the beginning of the year. Can't we
Right.
just pull it out of the trustee's salary that's allocated to road and bridge?
You could if you want to do your payroll certification that you're coming from Road and Bridge.
No, what I'm saying is, can't we,
You can't move money.
oh, the
we can't move it
reallocation.
from that,
Right.
she can move it from those
Gotcha.
categories within the same account, but not.
So how do you want to do it?
I would say we should supplement this account with another $8,000 to finish it out.
Okay.
And basically, that's like you said, we knew the amounts, it's just that more have come out of the general fund this year than roads and bridge. We had.
No, I
some-
gotcha, and that's why, like, I mean, and not to belabor the issue, but like, this is the breakdown, like, when I talk about budgeting, this is the breakdown that I talk about, not just the high-level appropriations that we do. If I'm not mistaken, these appropriations on here, like this breakout, Laura was left to do because we didn't give her any guidance on kind of how to set these. And ultimately, it's not really Laura's responsibility to do that, in my opinion. This is the type of stuff that we should be sitting down and doing at the beginning of the year to figure out, you know, so we don't run into this situation. So just something to keep in mind for next year, but yeah, I have no problem with however you want to adjust that piece of it.
Yeah, I will make a motion to supplement $8,000 to trustees and fiscal office salaries.
8,000 each?
No, just total.
Okay.
She can pull.
Put them where she needs to.
Yes.
All right. I will second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Ty, sorry to interrupt.
Nope. Nope, it's all good. Yeah, I just wanted to hit a couple of these items while Laura was still here, because I know she has to leave, so.
I'm okay with it. You okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I
I mean-
don't know how we're gonna take action on it. I haven't seen any of this yet.
Oh, this was just when we met, and just for discussion, we certainly don't have to vote on it tonight.
Okay, that's,
For sure, but just kind of want to go over, Laura and I did meet to talk about updating the credit card policies, the purchasing policies, and then employee paid leave. So maybe just for the record, I'll read what changes we talked about, and then I can get you some more documentation, so we can maybe vote on it next meeting, so. The credit card, policy, we were gonna strike, keeping a log, of the purchases, because she already keeps a log in UAN, so she doesn't have to keep another physical log, like this explains. Section 5, striking the words, use of purchasing or credit cards must be preceded by procurement or proper documentation requisition. We changed, our ideas were to motion on anything over $3,000 in a meeting for the trustees. Striking Section 6, it says personal charges are not allowed under any circumstances, even if reimbursed. Violation will be resolved disciplinary action. We just put down, refer to Section 12, because it talks about it again. And then Section 7, where it talks about tax ID information will be provided each time a card is signed out. And we just put down if needed, because if we buy from the same vendors, then we don't need to send a copy in every time. Section 11, we would cross out the section that says the balance including interest due on an extension of a credit card under the credit card arrangement shall be paid for within not more than 30 days of the initial statement. We're crossing that out. Our idea is to cross it out. The entire balance should be due, should be paid on each statement, paid on the due date. And then a maximum charge limit of $1,500 is to be placed on each township credit card. Those were some of the ideas that we shared, but like I said, obviously we don't have to decide tonight, but just for the record. Purchasing agreement, we just crossed out requisitions altogether. And then under the vendor section, we crossed that out and refer to services, because it talks about it again under services. Under services, the department is encouraged to utilize local vendors when the quality of service is at least equal or to other vendors. Quality of workmanship is to be monitored and used to evaluate continuation of relationship with the vendor. Also noting quality of product, price of product, speed of delivery, availability of product. I think we practice that anyway, but that would all go under services. Competitive bidding, the ORC has changed since this was last written. Whenever you're doing competitive bidding for road projects, big machinery, culverts, etc., it's $125,000 per the ORC. We both kind of agreed to keep the then and now, although it got skipped on one, for instance, here a little while ago. But instead of to place a requisition, it just, we're gonna change it to purchase an item. But we both thought that the then and now was important to keep. Just taking out the words requisition. And then obsolete and surplus property, we just crossed that out because you can refer to the organizational resolutions for that stuff. And then, of course, there's a credit card usage on that. We just crossed that out and see the credit card policy. To me, kind of minor changes, but changes that I felt needed to be done. And then we did talk about employees' paid time off, and the way the sick leave reads, which isn't really being practiced. We both felt that instead of having all these categories actually like separately, you could earn them separately, but yet it just gets thrown into a PTO bucket, personal time off, and they can use it whenever they want. So with that in mind, I'm not talking about how they earn vacation, but how they earn sick time. Instead of the way it's paid out now, we felt it might be better to earn a half a day per month and then put it into the PTO bucket. Because the way it's paid now, they get 12, and that's just kind of excessive.
Yeah, for sick times?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I think that was it, Laura, right? Oh, and then personal leave, it's never been issued because the personal leave policy is if you've ever called in sick, you don't get that one personal leave day. So it's never been issued as far as Laura's aware. So we would just cross that one out. So
Basically just transitioning to a completely PTO, paid time off, all encompassing.
As your
Right.
seniority or years of service tells you how many vacation days dumps in there, and then half the sick day per month goes in there. Just something to think
Yeah.
about, and next month we can try to put it on paper.
Okay.
That was it, right, Laura, for that? Okay, good. I think that's it for fiscal.
Okay. Service, Rick is not here tonight. You guys have seen the report. I just have two things associated with service. One, we're still waiting to get the countertops installed at the town hall. I thought it was gonna be done by next week. Hopefully it's gonna be done by the end of this week. Got them on order from Lodi Lumber. So I would make a motion to, right now, our next rental is October 26th. Someone's put a deposit on for that. I would make a motion to extend the town hall closure until the countertops are installed, or October 26th, whichever is first.
So opening it for the 26th, even if we don't have the
Yeah, we'll have
countertops?
to call, I mean, we've already collected their deposit.
Do they know
I don't,
the current situation?
I do not think they do, probably.
They don't, I mean,
Can we
the
reach out to them
countertops
at
were
least?
supposed to be in like
Yeah.
last week, so that's
Yeah.
like, we were told by,
Well-
by the countertop people.
Right.
It's, we're waiting on them, so as soon as those go in, it's done, like everything else
Yeah,
is
it's
done.
right.
I get that completely, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm not trying to give anybody here a hard time, but we, at the last meeting, it was next week,
Yeah,
last meeting.
yeah.
So I know it's not something that we control, but we have to entertain the idea that there's a chance that we're not gonna have them for the 26th.
Yeah.
Unless we have something definitive from the supplier of, like, if they're definitely gonna be here.
They expected
Or-
to have them in this week, last week.
Right, so
Last
we're
time
dealing
we
with one of those
were-
situations
right.
where, so I think we should at least reach out to the, I'm okay with the motion, but we should probably reach out to the, renter.
Okay.
That way, if the countertops not being there are a reason that they would need to find another venue,
Right,
they can at least find another venue.
right. Do we have a second?
But I'll second the motion.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then you guys were all copied on the letter from the county engineer for the OPWC matching funds for Palace Road, culvert number 31. This is our 26% of it will be $32,500, so, form letter for resolution. I'll read it. A resolution authorizing Lafayette Township to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or Local Transportation Improvement Program, and to execute contracts as required. Whereas the State Capital Improvement Program and the Local Transportation Improvement Program both provide financial assistance to political subdivisions for capital improvements to public infrastructure. And whereas Lafayette Township is planning to make capital improvements to Township Highway 85, Ballas Road, culvert number 31. And whereas the infrastructure improvement herein above described is considered to be a priority need for the community and is qualified project under the OPWC programs. Now therefore be it resolved by Lafayette Township, section number 1, Lafayette Township trustee Chris O'Neill is hereby authorized to apply the OPWC for funds as described above. And section 2, Lafayette Township trustee Chris O'Neill is authorized to enter into any agreements as may be necessary and appropriate for obtaining this financial assistance.
And our portion was 32.
Our portion was 32.5, that would be 26% of the total cost.
And does it say theirs? 70
Multiply that
Yeah,
by 4
yeah.
roughly.
Yep.
Any discussion?
No.
Let's do a roll call vote then. Paroli?
Yes.
Fullerton, yes.
And O'Neill, yes. Okay, resolution passes. Oh, Laura left. I'll give this stuff to her. She's got to submit the letter certifying it.
What's our deadline for submitting that?
October 21st. Fire, chief?
Right, good evening, everyone. September, we had 79 incidents. One in the city of Medina, one in Seville, 52 in Lafayette Township, 11 in Chippewa Lake, 12 in Glory Glens, one in Lodi, and one in Westfield Township. And 49 were during the day and 30 at night. 72% were EMS calls. Our average turnout time is a minute 56 out the door. Our average for the year is 2 minutes and 3 seconds. And on scene, our average time is 5 minutes 35 seconds, which is very good. We received mutual aid, or actually Glory Glens received mutual aid once. Westfield received mutual gave us mutual aid. City of Medina, we gave mutual aid to, and we received mutual aid twice. We also gave automatic aid to Lodi. And some things we've been doing, our community, our department participated in the 11th Annual Tunnel to Tower Foundation Run Walk on September 8th in Medina. We also had our on-duty crews attend the 9/11 Memorial Service on the 11th. We assisted with staffing at 2 Club League football games on September 6th and September 25th. We hosted the Girl Scout Brownie Troop on September 29th. They earned their fire safety pins and had some interactive training with our department. We taught CPR and first aid to local daycare providers on September 28th. And we're still collecting, it's almost done, but we're still collecting fire safety posters from anyone in Medina City Schools. This is a joint effort with Medina Fire Department. Sandy Norsik and Tara Powell are collecting posters. If your children go to Medina City Schools, grades kindergarten through 5th, they can enter the fire safety poster contest and possibly be state winners and be presented. Their artwork will be displayed on fire literature, which is really a cool thing. So we applied for and received a $1,000 donation from the Elks Lodge for fire prevention material in preparation of Fire Prevention Month. They came out and presented the check with us, and we gave them a station tour. We received our equipment from the BWC Safety Intervention Grant. This equipment will be used for auto extrication. It includes a cutter, a spreader, and a ram system, and it's been installed on engine 2 and is ready for use. We fixed the anti-lock brake system on Medic 1. We also repaired a tire on Medic 1, and we participated in live fire training in Seville on September 27th, and our pump testing for apparatus will begin this month from the 14th through the 16th. So that is all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Police, Lieutenant Markham.
Uh-oh, he's coming up. That's gonna be a long one today.
I don't have anything to add to the monthly report, but I do want to discuss more like a public service announcement. I think most of you have probably heard that a bullet had hit a golfer on the golf course at Medina Country Club. We've had a few incidents, not in that direct area, but over the past few months where bullets have left the intended property or left the intended backstop. So yes, you are allowed to shoot in Lafayette Township. Make sure you have a good backstop, make sure it's high enough, make sure it's thick enough so it doesn't go through it and leave your property. And you are responsible for that bullet if it leaves your property. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Sherry, zoning.
Good evening, everyone. I wrote 16 zoning permits through September 30th, 2024. I wrote 1 sign permit. The zoning report fees collected for the month were $4,660.42 with an estimated value of $2,022,835.99. So far this year, we're $1,336.27 more collected in fees over 2023 for the entire year. So we will undoubtedly surpass, now we may not surpass the estimated value, but we are passing the fees. There's a lot of things going on zoning-wise right now. There's some residents here, I'm not gonna provide addresses, but I'll just say we had one property that I've spoken about in the past that had tents on the property. And there's some residents in attendance now, I'm not gonna single any of them out. We saw one tent come down, and I drove by there, and there's a new tent up. I have not talked to the property owner yet, but it's on my agenda for Wednesday. I am going over there to talk to them. On Lake Road, I issued a stop work order on September 18th, 2024. I physically went over there and I put on the front and the back of the building, they're in violation of construction that doesn't match the intended use of the permit that was acquired. A certified letter was sent to the owner. The owner came in and talked to me Friday, but I'm not comfortable with the resolution she provided. She has 30 days to contact me again and comply, not in addition to what I gave her, but she's gonna have to come back in and talk to me. We couldn't come in agreement. We had a problem on another property, and some of the residents that are here are familiar with it. All I'll say is, it was reported to the health department. I turned it over to the health department. They went out there 3 times. There was no results given by the homeowner of that property. The property had a lot of environmental waste. The zoning inspector has nothing to do with environmental waste. When you have something like that, you get other agencies involved, so I notified the health department. So, they had a non-compliance court hearing that was supposed to be issued with the homeowner on the 26th of September. On the 25th of September, in the evening, around 8:30 p.m., I got a phone call from the fiance of the homeowner. And she told me, she goes, he's out of town on an emergency. I said, first of all, I didn't issue the letter. You need to contact the health department, not me. This is not a Sherry issue. So on the morning of the 26th, as soon as they opened, the fiance contacted the health department. The health department went out there and inspected, and everything is in compliance now. I have not gone by to drive by to see if it is, but I'm told it's in compliance. It looks okay. So that investigation on that is closed. We have another property that I notified the Medina County Building Department on, and I notified them about this like first part of August, and they still hadn't gone out, and I kept after them. They contacted me, they went out there and they looked at it, and they've deemed that this property, they sent out an adjudication order to the owner via certified mail. The property has been deemed unsafe and unsanitary. Now here's the issue. They're allowing the homeowner until November 30th to act, or the home is gonna be raised at the homeowner's cost. So when the building department gets involved, they'll keep me in the loop, but it now becomes their issue, not the township's right now. So that's on that property. We have another property that I've made multiple visits to, and every single one of the trustees has been out there and looked. I've made contact with 2 of the neighbors out there, and I'm constantly talking to them. I went out there a week ago Saturday to the property. I've not made any contact with the homeowner. Well, I made contact with the homeowner. I was not on their property. A large dog came charging at me barking, and the homeowner came to see who I was, but I was not on his property. The conversation started out well, we shook hands, but in the end, he didn't like the questions I was asking him, so he asked me to leave. So, right now, that's going to be considered a nuisance property. We need to decide what we're gonna do with that. We have 2 other properties that would go in the same category as nuisance properties. One I need to do a little bit more investigating on. I'll probably go out Wednesday when I go out to look at the tent property. But that's where I'm at right now when it comes to zoning. Does anybody have any questions?
Second to last one, you just talked about, the one where the dog came out. That's-
Yeah.
That's the Hunter Drive.
Yes, it
property, right?
is.
Okay.
We did make contact, and in the end, the dog was over wagging its tail. I'm a dog
Yeah.
trainer, it was wagging its tail, and I didn't get eaten up.
With that one, that is one that Sherry and I spoke with the prosecutor about, and his thought is, we'll get more bang for our buck in cleaning it up by trying to go the public nuisance route with that one.
So it'll be similar to Palker Road?
It would be, so, I don't know, I've talked with them, it's not necessarily zoning, kind of zoning.
No, that's fine. When you say you mean with the prosecutor's office?
Correct.
Not the homeowner?
Correct. Well, I've spoken with the homeowner.
Oh, you have? Okay.
No, I've not spoken with the 7176 homeowner.
Gotcha.
Apparently he's not rolling.
No, he's
No,
not,
I-
he's not
right,
approachable.
right. That's why I just wanted to clarify.
No, but
Yeah.
I promised the neighbor across the street that I'd bring it up tonight because she's anxious about it. And
Do I
we've been-
need to send a letter out?
I think we need to get some guidance from the prosecutor's office on that first letter. Like we talked about before, sending a letter from the zoning inspectors.
Right.
It's great, we're trying to uphold a zoning code, but how much teeth does it really have?
No, because it falls into the nuisance piece of it, which is an action that we have to take.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's better that way. And then with the junk vehicle issue there. The prosecutor's office recommended trying to get a warrant, search warrant for it.
Police escort for
Yes.
me, yeah.
So she can inspect, registrations, tags, numbers like that.
Can I ask a question, Chris? Okay. What about the one property I've been out to multiple times, and the health department had a case on them, and they closed it in June of 2024? I think you're familiar with the property on Lafayette Road?
Yeah.
Where do we stand on that?
Well, they closed their case.
They closed it in June of 2024.
It ebbs and flows. It gets worse.
It is
It
worse.
gets better. It gets worse, it gets better, but we could do the same thing there as well. Go to public nuisance.
That situation is different than the Hunter Drive one.
Right.
And they are approachable. I've talked to those
Right.
people.
I've spoken with them too.
Okay.
It's more trash. It's like, that's what you would call environmental waste a lot.
I know, but the health department really does not want to reopen a case
I
on
know.
that. They're pretty much
I
done
know.
with that.
And on the other hand, if we were to get involved, I think a cleanup on that one would be.
Yeah, but it's gonna also be
Yeah.
3 to 6 months later, the exact same
Exactly.
issue.
Probably, yeah.
And then I have another property that I went out to, the contact came in through the website, and that was the one I went out to. I haven't done anything on that one yet. I did take pictures, I did talk to 2 sets of the neighbors there. We think the property's abandoned. That's the one on Egypt Road. So I need to do something about that too. I want to try and tackle some of these things this week. That's the goal. If nobody else has any questions, then I'm done.
No,
Do we have an update on roadside?
On what?
On the roadside?
They had a special meeting for that, that was for the
Yeah.
easement,
I'm still.
so I
waiting-
wasn't at that special meeting.
No, I'm still waiting to hear back from their attorney. They're supposed to give me a draft of an easement. we
So
could-
you're gonna go easement rather than selling the property?
We could sell the property. The way the thing is configured, it's kind of an odd-shaped lot. I mean, we could sell
It's
the
like a
whole
pie,
parcel,
piece of
but
pie.
we'd be selling a big piece.
Why can't we sell just the .06 acres that was swapped for the other .06 acres? Which is what created this issue. There's those 2 little triangle slivers,
Would that provide, I don't know, and if it's contiguous with theirs?
Yeah, it is, because the one, if you're looking at roadside from 42, there's that triangle that's on the back where their septic is currently. And then there was a little triangle that was kind of off to the left-hand side near the gazebo. And they were both, the lots were like .05 and .06.
Right.
And originally, the township owned the one close to the gazebo and roadside owned the one where their septic is. The trade was made for the 2.
Right.
Because at the time, the owners of roadside preferred the triangle on the other side, with the understanding that they would be able to keep maintaining the septic, and then when it needed to be replaced, they would replace it somewhere on their property. Now, I know the ownership's changed,
Right.
but that's why we're now having this, so,
But selling, just flip-flopping those triangles, that doesn't alleviate the problem of the discharge line, because that actually crosses township.
was that what ultimately, the discharge line is what's gonna need to be fenced in?
I don't think that the discharge line
Okay.
needs to be fenced.
I think they
just-
wanted the fence, Justin, around the actual septic that has that cage over it.
Right.
That's where they wanted to put it.
But that's what we're waiting for, is for them to give us something to even,
Yes.
to even be able to review and decide on.
Correct. And I'm personally, I wouldn't be opposed to discussing a sale if we come up with a lot configuration. It would take some surveying if we're gonna,
Well, I'd probably, the only thing that I would recommend, just at the surface right now, would be to just give them back, like, not give them, but sell back that .05. My only question is, I know typically if we're gonna sell land, it has to be through public bid, like, we can't just,
prosecutor's office.
that's what they said we could.
Yes, it has to be unanimous decision, but we could sell it to whomever for whatever price we deem appropriate.
And then even if we sold them that, they would still need an easement to be allowed to run that discharge line through
From
our
the
property.
discharge,
Is what you're saying.
Probably, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's all one unit.
Okay.
They have
But
to
it
have-
would end the issue of the the septic tank
I mean, that is-
itself being on township property.
That is a good, that's a good point to bring up for the prosecutor's office, this, you know, the Ohio EPA is driving the requirement to
Right.
to have,
To have it fenced
Have
in and to
easement.
put those additional things on there.
I suppose we could ask for clarification, does that include the discharge line as well? Or is the-
Well, they probably have to have it because it's gonna be their property on our property.
Yeah.
You know, so I get that piece of it, but I guess what I'm saying is, we still have the issue of their septic tank being on our property. I'm not saying that's a huge problem, it's obviously been what's going on, but if we can eliminate that so that it,
Yeah,
you know, then, plus then if down the road they need to improve that or upgrade it.
then it's on their property.
Exactly.
Right,
So,
right.
We're done with it.
Right.
My only worry is if we could make that happen, which would be great. What about the discharge?
Yeah,
And how far down does that go?
it empties into the ditch, just,
Where that sign, the sign's up there,
yeah,
now,
there's a
right?
sign there, just west of the service garage entrance. Maybe we could sell that whole parcel to them really too, if we truly wanted to.
But then you cut off access to that gazebo, you know.
And they give us an easement.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know how many people use that gazebo over the years. I know we make it available,
Right,
but,
I've never seen it.
you know,
I think I did see some people that taking photos one time.
yeah, but they probably just went and took photos, which, you know, is fine, but, okay. But for now, we're
This is
tabling.
the septic tank.
Yeah, until we
There's
get,
nothing to-
until we get something back from their attorney.
Health department.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Hunter Drive, do you wanna take it, you want me to take it? This doesn't, I don't mind.
Yeah, let me take a crack at it with them,
Okay.
because, you know, and I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but, you know, the junk vehicle thing always winds up being a challenge because of the definition of a junk vehicle. If they go out and, you know,
Yes.
turn a couple of bolts,
Right,
you know, every 30 days,
Mhm.
you know, you lose that.
right.
And, you know, it's obviously already gonna be a bit of a adversarial situation, so, you know, I don't think we wanna, personally, I don't think sending him a search warrant and sending Sherry out to inspect vehicles when we know what an uphill battle the junk vehicle part is. And quite frankly, the rest of the stuff is really kinda like the meat and potatoes of it, right?
That-
Like,
Yeah, there's two campers in the back.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I think we go that route, but
Yeah.
I'll take,
Yeah.
you've got quite a
Contact-
few on your plate. but-
Contact my clients.
Yep.
and- All right, so, correspondence, we don't have anything under correspondence, you guys.
I had two, but, since public comment is on for the end of the meeting, I'll leave it at that, but I did receive an email after the conclusion of the last meeting, just with concerns over the lack of public participation at the last meeting. And then I had somebody else send an email, but I see him here tonight, so I think he'll probably address it during public comment. Okay, so that's that.
Unresolved business, IT bids.
Oh, yeah, so, I guess I'll start, but I mean, we're all gonna talk about it anyway, but we had that special meeting, met with KGC and Lightspeed. And they both did send quotes in for what they said they were gonna quote. I'll just read them for the record, in no particular order. KGC is quoting the township side for $1,670.31 a month. That's all the support, 365, Barracuda email protection, on and on. KGC is quoting the fire side, same support, same everything, for $1,658.31 per month. And he did give us a support services agreement for both the township and the fire district. And the only thing I would note in here, which is exactly the same as Lightspeed, is he's quoting that for 3 years, those prices.
And there was a 60-day out, 60-day
60
cancellation
day
on it?
written notice, yep. Yep. Okay, so that's KG3. And then, Lightspeed, Josh just came back at, $954, but if he would bill the fiber, then we can split that between the two.
Right, and the
Township.
954 was his total bid.
Correct,
For everything,
total
and then he'll
bid.
split the bill 50/50
Correct. Yep, yep, so that was substantially lower,
than what we're currently
Then-
paying.
yeah. And he also, secured that number for 3 years as well. And what his company would take care of is, phone services for both, entities and also, the fiber internet. And he does list, the extensions and phones as well on that. My only question, and I'm just, Justin, I guess it's for you, because you were the one that started the project. I couldn't find where we would save a ton of money, on the cell phones. The cell phone plan, you had like approximately $3,600 annually could be saved. Our most current bill from AT&T is $200 a month. That's for 3 phones. And that's $2,400 a year. I don't see, there's no more phones. That's all we got. on the
Right, no,
township side.
my thinking on the savings, one, I think that was before Chris had worked with Laura on getting some of the phone bill had been
Oh.
flirting with over $300, but there
Oh,
needed
bet.
to be some adjustments. And then the thought process was, if we get comfortable with the new phones through Lightspeed, their phone system allows that app that could be placed on a device that we already had, as opposed to having to have separate cell phone plans. So we don't necessarily have to take action on it like right away. We can, if we get set up and this is the route we go, we can see how that app works. And if it is something we could potentially use Lightspeed's phone network to get rid of our cell phone plans. But it doesn't have to be something we do immediately. You know, we can play around with that and see how we like it. Maybe it won't work that way. But I think the other thing too is, especially after seeing, you know, Josh and Keith kind of work together on this, you know, we're not gonna save tons and tons of money this way, but I think we do increase some efficiencies and we bring another person to the table that can kind of give us some additional insight, right?
Yeah.
You know, and Keith can't do, the internet and the phones, the KGC can't do the internet and phones like
I
Josh
think
does.
he can, but he prefers not to.
Well, right, it's kind of, and I got the same conversation from Josh, right? He said, I could do the stuff that Keith does, but
Right.
it's not, I probably couldn't save you any money there and do a better job. So having them both in the mix, I think benefits us, you know, especially since it doesn't add any cost right now, saves us a little bit of money. I think it'll make Laura's job a little bit easier, you know, with the split billing. And then, you know, down the road, there may be some additional cost savings depending on what we do with the cell
Yeah.
phone plans.
Yeah.
Off the top of your, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, go ahead, Chris.
What is our current, just internet cost right now? I don't remember.
750.
We paid like $750, then we also, but that also doesn't include the $300 that gets added on from, the fiber,
The dark-
from
Yeah.
the dark fiber between the two buildings.
So we're just over 1,000 for that, correct?
Almost 1,100.
And at the end of this month, our support from Warwick ends with the phone, so.
Correct.
So we'd be looking to have to do something there, right?
Otherwise, that could probably get pretty expensive pretty quickly if we're on a.
And I'm in
month-to-month.
agreement with Josh, leave the phones alone. We haven't had any issues, you know.
Right, but
Knock on wood.
his agreement too, if we do have issues with him, he can bring in new hardware for us as
Right.
part of
Right.
our contracted price. It wouldn't be where otherwise we'd be stuck buying hardware to replace
Right,
those. So,
Right. So we're not gonna be looking at a lot of savings like you had thought of earlier, but the fire district's still gonna save over $6,000 anyway
right.
in a year's time without actually getting
Right.
real close, but it'd be well over $6,000 savings.
And we can start this on January, or I'm sorry, November 1st.
November 1st is what I would recommend.
You making the motion?
I'll make the motion to accept, let's just read them for the record, to accept Lightspeed's bid for service for phones and fiber internet to be split between the township and the fire department, $954. Split that in half for the two, starting November 1st.
3-year contract, 60-day cancellation.
Three-year contract, 60-day written out. And also to accept KGC's bid for all other services, too many to list. For the fire district, $1,658.31 per month. For the township, $1,670.31 per month. 3-year contract, 60-day written out.
Are those, you said 1670-31, that's township.
That's township,
Okay.
yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll make the motion for that.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I
West,
guess, I guess you want me to just email everyone, or, I mean,
for
the
this,
two parties involved, and,
yeah.
because they're gonna have to work with Laura. I mean, I know Josh is for billing stuff, and we'll all be in the loop anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took this, lead on this, you could, I'm okay if you sign.
Yeah.
on
Oh,
behalf of
yeah,
the board
okay,
On both of these,
yeah,
you want color ones?
yeah, I want the color, yeah. Okay,
Westfield Bank.
yeah, give me 1 second. Okay, Westfield Bank, we've been talking about that for a long time. It's been cleared through the prosecutor as far as the depository agreement. I know Justin had a good question, was to put the expiration date on that the same as the others for August of 2026. Which is fine. All the signers, the four of us have finished all that paperwork involved. The accounts are opened and ready. I did talk with Laura, and she does have a fair amount of auto pays that she'd like to leave $200,000 in the checking until she gets all of her auto pays cleaned up.
With the checking with Huntington?
Yes, yeah, yeah. But everything's ready to roll. Now, I will, for the record, as of today, the township checking has $1,231,000 and some change in the checking. The savings has $485,000 and some change in it. Of course, Starro Howells are doing good for the township. There's almost $989,000. That's collecting at 5.29%. Of course, this has nothing to do with the fire, the accounts that we have with Star or Huntington, so that's, would stay the same. But Laura's ready and Westfield's ready, and we've got all of our signing stuff ready, so just to keep everyone in the loop with that.
And we don't, there's no motions to make or anything?
No, we've already discussed it, but I just want to let everyone know that it takes time to do all that, so that's all done.
Any other unresolved business?
I don't have any.
All right, let's go to new business.
You okay?
Yeah, let's,
All right, well, to start, I've got Brandon Gibson from Medina County Economic Development's here. I sent out an email to you guys, I know it was late last week, on the brownfield remediation grant program. And I'll let Brandon kind of explain it from there, because
Sure.
he knows better than I do.
Thanks to the trustees for having me here tonight. I'm Brandon Gibson, Economic Development Manager at Medina County Economic Development Corporation. We handle economic incentives and development for the entire county, but we handle most of the township incentives all over the county. We also handle on behalf of the Port Authority. I know it sounds silly, we don't have a port in Medina County, but we do have a Port Authority. That's a bond financing authority. It allows us to get state grants and federal grants on behalf of the cities, villages, and townships in the county. We do have some leftover money from our demolition and brownfields grants program from last year. We were able to extend that deadline into this year, and it ends on December 31st, 2024. We do have right around, I'd say, $60,000 left in there. We utilize those grants for demolition of buildings that don't have a remediation necessity. So a house or a building that has asbestos, or a house or a building that doesn't have asbestos, we can use the demolition money. And then for the brownfield money, we can use it to remediate any buildings in the county that have a remediation concern. And we've done it on behalf of Medina Municipal Airport this past year. The fire tower at the Career Center is going to come down a little bit later this year. New one's gonna go up. We use the state grants to help out with that. We've helped York Township with one of their township buildings, and we've helped houses pretty much all over the county the last 2 years. So we administer that state grant program, and we'd be happy to help the township with anything we can.
And that's where I had emailed you guys. I reached out to a couple of properties, you know, that have those older homes. And to kind of give an example, there's a property on the corner of Lafayette and Chippewa, 7300. I spoke with the property owner there, and, you know, to Brandon's point, demolition quote that they had received just to demo the house was like $11,000. So that's not, you know, that's not that big of a deal. But the remediation quote, because there is asbestos in the home, is like anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000. So that's where those expenses can get bigger, which is probably why, you know, you see a lot of these homes wind up not getting demoed because of that cost. So, you know, I wanted to bring it to you guys. We would have to, as a township, kind of facilitate, you know, we become the grant recipient. We fund it up front and receive, you know, reimbursement from the federal grant.
Correct.
For the homeowner. You know, I don't, because this came up late last week, you know, I think I was telling you before the meeting, you know, this is money that was left over allocated, you know, for other projects that just didn't get used.
Correct.
But we're in a position to maybe be able to act a little bit quicker than, you know, the city, plus some of those programs. I mean, what are the average project if like the city is doing a commercial building? Or, I mean, some of those get to well into the six figures for.
Yeah, so in the new round, so this year we just did, we had a $500,000 set aside. We gave $500,000 to Meyer, who's demolishing the Kmart over on Pearl, to build the new Meyer there. I would say on average, if it's a commercial building, I mean, you're in the hundreds of thousands. Some of the smaller township projects are in the tens of thousands.
Which is why, you know, this is a good fit for us to hopefully be able to work with some of our homeowners. We would need to pass a boilerplate resolution that I passed out to you guys as well, to be the grant recipient for them. But we may need to do a special meeting, you know, in the next week. Because like I said, we're looking at December 31st is when everything needs to be done.
Yeah, said and done.
Finalized.
Yeah, that's the last day that we could even possibly get reimbursement if we could get that paperwork into the state. So we like to submit it about 2 weeks ahead of time. So say mid-December, we have to have everything submitted and reimbursed back. So I'd say drop dead end date to submit and have projects done, probably the end of November, is probably pushing it.
The big thing is verifying that the properties don't have asbestos, because if they do, then you have to have the remediation in first and then the demo,
Do,
potentially.
if we take it on, then do we have to have an asbestos survey done? And then we have to get an abatement contractor if there is asbestos?
So if it's demolition with asbestos, we can use the demolition grant, we don't have to use brownfield. If it
Okay.
has any other remediation concern, we do have to use brownfield. So if it has asbestos, we can use what's left over in the demolition grant. But yes, it'd be state paperwork that says, you know, that there was this concern before and it was taken care of after. And then we submit that to the state and they greenlight the money back.
But we still have to perform those things, right? We still have to have an asbestos survey conducted.
Well,
Yeah,
and that-
go ahead.
Go ahead and answer this
Yes,
question.
yes. I would say somebody has to, right? So like if the township doesn't own the homes, if an individual owns the homes, we're gonna have to have some trail of paperwork that says the individual homeowner gives the consent to apply for the grant to the township, then you give us consent to apply on your behalf to the state. So in a roundabout way, somebody does, the individual or the township would have to prove that
Okay,
there's
so-
this necessary concern.
And then who's actually in charge of hiring the contractors and scheduling the work?
If you guys are giving us consent to apply on your behalf, you would have to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, the one homeowner the one property owner that I've spoken with, they've got everything done. They already had the remediation quote earlier this year, the excavator that was handling it. I actually spoke with him today, Foot Excavating. And so they could most likely complete that project, you know, in the timeframe. There's 3 other properties I think that I had sent to you that were single-family homes, that we may run into a bit of a roadblock with, just being able to being able to get somebody out there. And then also if there is asbestos remediation that's needed, we probably have funding to maybe get 2 done. If there is no remediation or no asbestos, then we're in the clear, because we could get probably all 4 of them done. The question is, you know,
It's still a tall order to get surveys, abatement work,
Yeah.
you know?
And I would just say if there's no asbestos, it's a little bit quicker of a process because we need less intake and less outtake to the state to get it reimbursed. So it's a little bit easier, but like you said, it's still some amount of.
Right.
But you're wanting all work done invoiced by mid-December.
Correct. Yep.
yeah. Which is why, I guess if you guys are okay, like, if you're okay with the idea of the program, you know, I 50-50, whether we can get some of this done. But I think it's worth a shot for the benefit, not only for the property owners, but for the township to clear out some of these
I'm
houses.
definitely on board with the idea.
Okay.
What's the drawback? What's the worst thing that could happen to us?
I mean, the worst thing would be if we don't use the money and then we send it back to the state of Ohio and it doesn't get used in Medina County.
So there's no exposure to us having to pay for something and then not be reimbursed?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Unless we, I guess, maybe if we started it and didn't
Correct,
get it
yeah,
done
it
in
doesn't
time.
get, it doesn't get done, right. And maybe that's the managed process from the township's end to say, hey, we probably can't do 4 of these, but we're sure we can do 2 of them.
Right.
We'd like to see you guys do 2 instead of try and rush and do 4 and not get any done.
Right.
Right.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, just, let me know when you're ready and we'll call a special
I say we'll
session.
probably have to have a, special meeting, potentially even an emergency meeting. But that's why I wanted to make sure we kind of covered all of this now.
Mhm.
Make sure you guys were on board
Yeah.
before we go any further. Not only because I don't want to spend the time if we're not going to do it, but two, just, I think each of the property owners that I spoke with about potentially doing it, they immediately said, yeah, absolutely, if we can do this, we want to do it. I think a couple of them had looked at these types of grant programs before, and, because of the way the allocations work, they probably weren't at the top of the list because they were small dollar projects, right? They get the bigger ones knocked out.
Right.
Yeah, and it's, so just to give you, I guess, behind the curtain look is, in a normal round, we have a set aside from the state. So in this last round, we had $500,000 and then everything is a competitive grant process. So sometimes when we're saying, hey, we're gonna demo a house and then we're just gonna leave it there, that doesn't score as highly as, say, we're tearing down a commercial building so another commercial building in the city can go up. That's always gonna score higher. But this came about, as Trustee Crowley said, there was a commercial project on the west side of the county that did not use the money, so we were able to reallocate that money. We used some of it, like I said, for the career center, some of it for Medina Municipal Airport. a township house in Granger, one in the village of Lodi, and a couple others. So we'd be happy to help any way we can.
Excellent.
And if it comes down to a timing thing, Mark said he'd let me borrow a dozer and let me do it myself, so, right?
There's no exposure to the township, right?
No, I'll sign a waiver, we're good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Great idea. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Thank Bethany, because she was right on it.
Grab you.
Well, like I said, we were, and I guess maybe I can just hit it real quick. So if anybody has any questions, the county commissioners did do a presentation last Monday about the improvements that they're doing to the wastewater treatment plant. So while we were there doing that at the end of the meeting, Bethany happened to grab me because we were talking about that Spencer Lake house potentially doing. And so I had reached out to Bethany about the possibility of using the money for that, months ago when we had talked about it, if it became available and something we were gonna do. And then, so that's why she grabbed me at the meeting and said, hey, you still have that house? And I was like, no. She's like, oh, crap, and it's like, well, we could probably find some more to tear down, so that became the project last week.
Excellent.
Good.
Township insurance. You guys reviewed the
Yep.
invoice and the policy from Otarma.
Mhm.
Any questions, discussions? It went up a little bit over this year, but I think it's mostly due to property valuations. It's about $3,000 a year more. Motion to approve that annual contribution due of $34,564.93.
I would move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. These signed, sent back to her too. Those are due back by, what'd she say, the 21st?
21st, I think she said, yeah.
OTA conference. Got that one put on?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think here. The kickoff for reserving, spaces for that is in November. So, I think you get a wealth of knowledge out of going there myself and the face-to-face talking with the other trustees and fiscal officers around the state. Right here, attendance opens November 1st. That's what I was looking for. So, I would consider having Kristen look into it for availability of rooms and who would be available to go and just, I think
Get
it's
on early.
worthwhile. Yeah, I would get on it early because you save money. The longer you wait, the more expensive it ends up getting.
Do we have a cost
Less
breakdown from last year?
so-
Sorry. Do we have a cost breakdown for what
I
it
don't
was
know
last
if,
year?
Laura probably does.
You mentioned using the Moore grant for that, correct?
Well, we can use the Otarma Moore grant. It's $1,000. It's, it can be used towards, our OTA memberships and the education subscription, and also for just the dues for going down. I guess, and I'll just defer to you guys because obviously I wasn't able to go last year, but the fact that our OTA registration gives us access to pretty much all the webinars. You get, you get all of them online versus only being able to attend, you can only attend one per session while you're down there. I'm just not sure, given how much it winds up costing for rooms for everybody for 2 or 3 nights, travel, meals, that kind of stuff. I don't know that there's a significant benefit to being down there just for the, trade show piece of it and the dinners with the vendors and the different stuff that goes on there. But, I mean, if you guys have a different opinion on, something of value that we were able to bring back to the township because of those types of kind of outside of the training stuff.
I'm not big on the dinners and the vendors and all that happy hula. What I find extra beneficial is the conversations that you're having in between classes and after.
Yeah.
The days ended, people just stand in those big corridors and just talk for hours. The wealth of knowledge from these seasoned trustees and fiscal officers and leaders of the OTA is just priceless as far as I'm concerned. And we do fit in quite a few classes during the day.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't so much whether or not you could go to the classes down there, because obviously that's the main bulk of it is that education and training that you can get, especially as newer trustees and a very new trustee. I just know that, this past year, I've been able to do more of the webinars online that I would have possibly attended while I was down there, so. But all we're asking here is for Kristen to start doing some pricing,
Yeah.
and then we'll
Yeah.
make a decision at the November meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, certainly do that. We'll only be a couple days after the start day anyway, so.
Real quick, I did forget to bring something else up under service. A lot of times former trustee Orcola was able to get plows for us. He contacted me last week and asked if we were interested in them. I talked to Rick and Rick said absolutely. I would make the motion to allow Rick to go up and get whatever plows Marty had is offering.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's the trial program that he does, yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So that's under new business, you just put Myers, right?
Yep. Let's see, last one under new business is insurance for trunk or treat. We talked to Renee, our agent for this, and I guess we've never in the past gotten extra insurance for it. She recommended a $500 policy. What sparked it was we have a resident who's willing to give hay rides for the kids during the weekend. He's going to get a policy, he's got insurance through his provider, and we're gonna try to get a certificate naming Lafayette Township as additionally insured for it. So that'll take care of that, but nonetheless, a $500 insurance policy is, they recommended above and beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like,
Yeah.
God forbid something happened, right? And it was only
The off chance that
$500.
something happens is gonna be significantly more expensive than $500.
So,
So
we have a motion for paying for the additional insurance.
I would make a motion to approve the additional insurance for the hay rides at the trunk or treat. $500, correct?
Yep.
Is what
Yes.
Yep, I'll second 500.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I do wanna add one thing real
Go ahead.
quick. You're done with that piece?
Yep.
Our next regular meeting is November 4th.
Yes.
I know in the past, there have been times where we've done meetings for election day, so that we can be down, coffee, donuts, but that way too, if a resident wants to come up and discuss township business, it technically needs to be a meeting for us to be there and to do something like that. Do we want to do something like that again for election day? I just think we probably want to make that call now versus waiting until November 4th to announce a special meeting on election day. Or do we not want to do that?
What's your thought?
I mean, I like the idea of, it's always been nice to be able to be down there, to stop in when you vote and grab a cup of coffee and talk with the trustees. Obviously, this will be my first opportunity on this side of it, but, if three of us are there and somebody comes up and wants to talk about something for us to say, we can just keep it to the chit chat. I'd like to be able to, and we can just designate it as a special meeting and have it open at the beginning of the day. And then that way too, if and when all three of us are down there at the same time, or two of us, it's not an issue.
I think we can designate it, yeah, and then if two of us are there at the same time, fine, writing down when
Yeah.
you show up and you leave, but what we
Exactly.
did the last time.
Right, and then just keep it.
And if we're not, that's okay too.
Yeah,
But you gotta buy the donuts this year.
All right, I can do that.
No,
Are you
I,
talking about
that's serious.
replacing with a special?
no,
Well,
in
no, we just
addition
need,
to.
no, we'll have the regular meeting to handle regular business. This is
Oh,
just so that we aren't violating sunshine law if two of us are, because we can go down there and pass out donuts and coffee and everything like that, but then if, you know, Mark stops in and he wants to talk about anything that's township business, well, one of us needs to walk away, or, you know, or we just have to not talk about it, and this allows us to comply with sunshine law and still, you know, do that event for the residents, which I think is a good thing, because that, for people that can't make meetings and do stuff like that, a lot of times that's the one opportunity that they have to introduce themselves or to talk to us, so.
Right.
Right. It certainly doesn't hurt. I mean, if we're there, we're there. I won't be able to spend all day there, but
Yeah.
Oh, I doubt I'll be able to be there all day either, but, you know, this way it's at least covered.
No, Justin knows trustees have to buy the donuts with their own money. We don't charge that to the township, so some,
Right, but we just need to do
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and get that scheduled. So if you're okay with that, I'd make a motion to schedule a special meeting
yeah, on election
for,
day,
for election day.
for the election hours.
Right.
do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye? Opposed, same sign?
Oh, sorry, aye.
You voted for it.
Busy, four.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna vote against it, why not? Time made me buy the donuts. Gotta change it up here.
We'll start over. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And Kristen, just as you're writing, Kristen had, goddamn flying, made this up. Did you get a chance to see that? Well, I guess I'll
Yeah.
just read it, but Kristen came up with an idea for the newsletters, finding out other, are you listening, Kristen?
I am.
Yeah, you are. She reached out to several communities that do newsletters and just, a lot of them that do like magazines and stuff, but they have advertisers, local businesses that will pay for advertising space inside the newsletter. So her idea for the sponsorships were like a business card ad would be $200. A quarter-page ad would be $300, a half-page ad would be $475. And the whole intent is to get enough sponsors to where it pays for the newsletter, and it's just a win-win for everybody. I think Kristen can pull this off and get enough ads to pay for the whole entire thing myself. Kristen, do you have anything to add to that?
So here, can't have this one, but it'll be hitting this week, tomorrow, the next couple days, it's coming out. And, we had put, this was our original, it would be a little bit bigger than this, is the business card size. And so when I talked to Mary at Minuteman, it only comes in, groups of 4. So we could do 4-page, we have currently an 8-page, so we moved to a 12-page. And like, the increase in how much, it was like 92 cents per copy, and it only went to 110, which I was shocked that it was. I was like, oh, well, that was pleasantly surprising. So then what I did was I worked with those 4 pages or the space that we have. That's the pricing. I didn't put how many I have available of each of those, but I have that all on my end of how much and it would pay for the entire issue.
Did going to 12 pages do much to postage, or did we not?
They said it they weren't sure, but they said it probably wouldn't. But even so, with what I have, it was like a couple $100 over of what we would, in case the postage would increase.
Okay.
So we're looking at a motion to approve these rates?
Yeah, because this is gonna be hitting mailboxes,
Right.
I just wanna know if people are like, hey, yeah, I wanna do this, I wanna be a sponsor, I wanna know what
I see what you're
pricing
saying,
to
yeah.
tell,
Yeah.
say this is what we're asking for these. And I got that pricing from couple other townships that I looked up, like newsletter sponsorships, and what they were asking for theirs as well, so that I wasn't asking like, oh my gosh, this is astronomical what I'm asking a business to pay, or it's not enough.
Are you creating the ad for that price?
I can, if you want me to. I like doing that. Like, if you don't
I don't know
have
that
a business
I would
card.
get into that because these are places of business, you know, they need to
Yeah, like
provide
if
you
you,
with their own
like if you
artwork.
just have a standard, you want your name, telephone number, what your business is, just words. Like, I'm not creating, like, I'm not like giving you free digital marketing, like this. But if you already have a business card, like, we can scan it and I can put it into the program to put it in here. But if you just are, you know, say you're a realtor and you just want your name and your phone number and what you do and maybe your little slogan, like, I would just type that in. Does that answer your question?
It does. How soon do you need it prior to, like if I was gonna do a January half-page sponsor? When do
Yeah.
you need that by?
Oh, well, our next issue wouldn't come out until April, I believe, is when the spring one came out.
Okay,
Cause we do the newsletters twice a year.
okay.
So I would there is going to be a limited number of spaces. Right now, I have like slotted for 4 half-page ads. So, it's gonna be first come, first serve.
Gotcha. We just come to the township there, to the administration building?
You can, my hours are Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 8 until 3.
Okay,
Or you can send me an email or call.
perfect.
Got some interest, maybe we should upcharge also.
If you're adding 4 pages, why would you only do 4 half-page ads? You're gonna go from 8 to 12 pages.
Because there's going to be because not everybody wants to pay that much, so there's gonna be
That's in
another
addition
page
to-
that has smaller business card size, or there's gonna be a couple quarter page ads that, like, the pricing is on there. Because not, like, somebody say, oh gosh, they might get sticker shock at a $400 ad, but they're like, oh, I'll do the $200 one. So I wanted to give options, and I'm gonna spread it, like, I'm looking at some of the designs of researching other communities, it's not like, okay, here's our newsletter, okay, now here's 4 pages of ads. It's kind of spread out throughout, and I liked those designs as well. So I'll be playing with it, and of course I send it to the trustees and they see the design work and everything. And it's a good way to include the community and know who our local businesses are.
Mhm. I'm okay with the dollar amounts.
Motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the dollar amounts so Kristen can keep the ball rolling.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now you're gonna get flooded with calls tomorrow.
That's okay, I'm not leaving tomorrow. They can leave a message on my voicemail. I'll call them back.
That might have been the last item for new business, but I don't know.
I don't have anything else now.
You have anything else?
No,
Okay.
but I do want to call for an executive session unless you,
Do we want to do public comment first?
Well, let's move to public comment first. I don't know how long of an executive session we're gonna have.
yeah, I don't either, so.
Those are the last 2 things we have, right? The executive session. Well, yeah, let's do public comment and then do the executive session.
All right, I kind of came up with some notes, and probably next meeting I'm gonna circulate some rules for you guys. I'd like to run by the prosecutor's office first. And obviously, we didn't have public comment last period, and last meeting, and we started calling it public comment, I believe, at the beginning of this year, so I think going forward, I'll identify it as public comment, but I just want to read the little first paragraph I have here for you guys and get your take on it. Microphone. Oh.
How long have you been tight?
That's all right. The Lafayette Township Board of Trustees recognizes the value of public participation on township and fire district issues, as well as the importance of allowing members of the public to express their concern on matters of community interest. In order to provide members of the public the opportunity to comment during open meetings, the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees has implemented the rules of public participation outlined below, which apply to all speakers and do not discriminate based on the identity or viewpoint of the speaker. The intent of the rules is to provide a fair and adequate opportunity to be heard, to ensure that the regular meeting agenda is completed, to recognize the nature of the board's time and use it efficiently and effectively, and to establish order and an element of decorum. So, I mean, I don't know if that was kind of like the preamble to it. And that was my whole point last meeting of not having it. I wanted to just establish that we could have a meeting and have it flow properly, nicely. We actually finished in about an hour, and there wasn't a lot of arguing back and forth. Going forward, I'd like to implement a few things, and I'm not gonna go through all these tonight. I'll send it out to you guys to review, but, by and large, speakers should not be speaking in the audience. They should only be speaking at the podium when they're recognized. Should never be engaging any other members of the public. I think comments should be addressed to the board and the board only. It's not intended to be a question and answer session, so we shouldn't get into any big back and forth or debate. If one of us wants to field a question or ask a clarifying comment or correct something that may not be right, that's one thing. But to me, it just got a little out of order here. It got a little crazy in here, and I didn't think it reflected well upon us. There's no effort to try to shut down anyone's freedom of speech or anything like that. That's not what it is. Everybody has the right to speak. You don't need to be here to speak. You can say whatever you want within the confines of law, wherever you are. But we do have the right to either have public comment or not, and we do have right to implement rules for it. So just wanted to say that as a follow-up to last week. I don't know if you guys have any other things you
No,
want to add.
you're gonna send that to us
I'll
and then
send
send it to the prosecutors then?
Yeah, I think it's best if they look at it and give us.
Okay, so
a
this
thumbs up.
hasn't been reviewed by
No,
them yet?
no, no. This is just me doing some.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll agree with the sentiment that, public participation should, anybody that has anything to say should feel comfortable coming to the podium. Unless, I hate, but we've had some people that have been here in the past that have a difficult time getting to the podium, so
Yeah.
maybe we could find an
Yeah.
accommodation around that. But I get the idea that, they should be free to speak without, any interruption or,
Right.
from the audience,
Right.
I think is important, so I definitely agree with that there. I'll have to obviously read the rest of
Yeah.
it, but the idea, last week, or I guess it would have been 2 months ago now, but definitely got a little
Yeah,
out of hand.
I think we all agree with that. So with that, public comment. Sir?
With liberty and justice for all. It's nice that freedom of speech is returned. You don't have to agree with what's being said, but I think it's un-American not to let the people say it. Dear Lafayette trustees and citizens, we need to go back a few months to the August 2024 episode meeting when someone was stupid enough, watch the video, to poke the sleeping bear by saying, "Let's ask Mark Frederick." Well, they didn't like the answer and interrupted. At least now that money is finally getting interest for the 2 years that was lost. The Lafayette budget is not like loading a concrete truck at Medina Supply to skim the excess. We won't allow it. With all the new construction since 2021, the increase in revenue stream is now 27% more than it was. I didn't get a 27% pay increase ever. Did you? The same fire attempt with this levy and so on that was pulled off at Westfield Township and Village, it was when that ballot issue failed there. Yet Westfield collects taxes from one of the largest businesses, employers in the county. Yet they can't afford it. What makes anyone think it will work here in Lafayette Township? Full-time service can be provided. I'm talking fire department here, folks. If it's cost effectively done, and yet without full-time employees and the expense that goes along with that. We already had it here. My public records requests reveal some interesting facts. We collected just over $1 million in 2020. Little history lesson. And should collect nearly $1.4 million this year. That's an extra $400,000. I like to round things off. $500,000. Where did it go? Is there any financial integrity and transparency? The township is growing fast. There is more population, houses, revenues than ever before. Look down the street here, 162 Lake. When does that tax flow start pouring in? In about a year, there will be still more added revenue. So which fire department members are sucking up raises and increases? Why do we need a full-time fire department when Medina City doesn't even have one? Medina City has roughly 26,000 residents. Lafayette Township has 6,000, 7,000. The city is 4 times bigger. Yet they do well. The increased future funding coming here can pay off this building and order and pay for, because I guess it takes 2 years to tell me, for a new ambulance with the $400,000 increase. If we need it, get it. I'm all for it. In the long term, in any capital improvements, things will only cost more in the future. Get it now if we have to. So don't say I'm against everything. I'm not. I'm against wasting money. So with the $500,000 more than previously, why do we need to, and my word, burden our residents with another levy? Especially when it comes as an open purse to grab from. You can fund new equipment in stages with good budgeting, without raising more taxes and levies. Is it mismanagement or just plain stupid management of our funds? Much like the $24,000 we lost in interest over the 2 years when that $400,000 was laying around. Well, at least we don't have Rich Monroe, like York Township trustee, getting caught and fined $50 for his little frolic in the park. Court public records. In September at this meeting, you thought you were pretty slick in denying citizens their freedom of speech by blocking public comments. There again, you have only made a stupid decision in showing fear of having the citizens question and speak to you. That cost you votes in this township. Stupid. Medina County Township, or excuse me, Medina County Commissioners also tried that silencing trick to squelch citizens' freedom of speech. didn't last too long there either. Sincere concern. Mark Frederick. Oh, and I forgot. Mark Frederick, 6146 West Smith Road, Medina, Ohio, 44256. Planet Earth, Milky Way solar system, continent North America, even the Martians can find it. And one question for the chief. How can you track down and prove where that stray bullet came from? I know of one other incident in Medina County, I will name it, Kazak out there by, I don't know, edge of Medina County, almost Lorraine, where a bullet came through their front window. And I raised this issue because I have a shooting range in the backyard. It's been there, Chief Gore, when we had a police department in Lafayette Township, used to come shoot at my range. But I also have a railroad track for backstop. 300 Winchester mags going off and nothing ever gets away. Let's keep it that way. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Up there.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is William Stewart. I live over on Ballas Road. I've lived here about 35 years. And I've been asking for fire hydrants ever since I lived here. And levy for no fire hydrants. Chris, I came in and talked to you about this, so this isn't anything. I'm adamant about it. I'm PO'd about it. Every trustee I've talked to since I've lived here has passed it down. They just kind of let me talk about it, and they just kind of, it goes nowhere. They say it's up to the county. I've heard it's up to the residents. You got to vote on it. You got to. I've never ever been offered, or since I've lived here, any, would you pay for, water coming into your, if we got fire hydrants down the street? Now there's 500,000 plus houses going up on Ballas Road since COVID. I've never seen houses being built. And my insurance is double, because I don't have a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of me, okay? So I have to pay double house insurance, and you want how much more a year to pay for this levy that won't service me a bit? Because every barn that is burned down on Ballas Road, I watched the fire department let it burn. And basically when you ask them, they say that they're not there to put out the fire. In fact, the fire chief, when I was here last year, said that very fact. They're not there to put the fire out, they're there to just control it. They don't have the adequate equipment to do it. In other words, fire hydrant. All they have is a pumper truck. They also said that half the fire hydrants don't even work in this township. And that is on record. That is at that meeting that I was at. That's a scary thought. I still have not, and I asked that at that meeting, that there's a certification of when those fire hydrants get checked. Where is that? When was the fire chief providing that to this township, that these fire hydrants that we do have are being checked and that they work? Every single one of them should work. That's a liability on this township. If that fire hydrant in front of that house doesn't work, and they go up there to get it, that's pretty shameful. Yet no one can prove that the fire hydrants that we do have are functional. So I'm asking, why do we need full-time firefighters if we don't have the supplies for those firefighters to use? We have the fire hydrants. And why isn't the trustees in this township fighting to get those fire hydrants for this township? And we're growing. You just said, the gentleman just said how big this township is growing. I mean, in the last 3-4 years, I cannot believe all the in subdivisions. I mean, it was supposed to be a 2-acre minimum lot, and there's subdivisions everywhere in Lafayette Township, and they're just going up one after another. But they all have fire hydrants. the technology, whatever you wanna call it down here on, right here, fire hydrants, fiber optics, it's been sitting there for 20+ years and not used. Yet I've been here 35 years, I don't even have internet on Ballas Road. I don't have internet on Ballas Road.
Wow.
Can you believe that, people? 35 years, I don't even have internet. Still, I don't have a fire hydrant, don't have gas, don't have sewer, don't have water. I'm on one of the oldest roads in Lafayette Township. You want me to vote for a levy which I get absolutely no return on? Not gonna happen. And Chris, I did talk to you about this. It's not gonna happen. And I can't see how anybody in this township should vote for that levy until something's done with that. And I hope you guys take me serious.
Thank you. Anybody else? Good.
Steve Demonsky, 6755 Lake Road. I'd like to speak about the proposed fire tax levy. Right up front, I'll let you know that I do not plan on voting for the levy, and there are a couple of reasons why. For well over a year and a half now, we have been repeatedly told that there was no financial crisis or concern when it came to the fire district, and that no tax levy would be needed according to the trustees at the time. Only one person would stand up each and every month, numbers in hand, and say that a crisis was indeed looming. This person was told month after month that he was wrong, and even at times yelled at by the trustees, until one of the trustees finally challenged him to run for the trustee position. He accepted that challenge and is now sitting on the board of trustees. I find it amazing how he was the only one able to see the crisis on the horizon, and none of the other elected officials could. Since April, we have been hearing how we need more state-of-the-art fire department, a complete new equipment. However, this is a very lofty goal for the township of our size. This type of department, though very desirable, is also unachievable without creating some financial hardships on many of the residents. Now, many might say, don't you want the best fire department to respond to your house if it's on fire, or the best qualified EMTs if you have a medical emergency? And the answer is, of course. However, if a state-of-the-art, top-notch first responder department was a priority when I was looking to purchase a home in this area, I would not have moved into a small township of 6,000 to 7,000 people. I would have bought a home in a city of 30,000 to 50,000 people because they have the money to provide that type of service. By the way, that's the size city I moved out of to come to Lafayette. Bigger doesn't mean better. Lastly, over the last few months, as this fire district financial situation has been discussed, the one solution that I have never heard discussed is the following. No one has ever said, we have X amount of money available for the fire district, so what is the best we can do with the funding we have available? Perhaps the residents of this township need to be shown some financial responsibility by its elected officials first, before being asked for more money. Maybe if after 1 or 2 years of financial responsibility being shown by elected officials, the residents of this township may feel more comfortable about giving our elected officials more money and passing a tax levy. The first step in this process would have been to place the 2 small levies on the ballot that would have been earmarked for a specific purpose, such as equipment and salaries. That would have given the residents an option to vote for only one of the levies, or both of the levies, or neither of the levies. Because the money would have been earmarked for a specific purpose, that people would have had a feeling of control over the funds raised by the levy. Instead, that proposal was voted down in lieu of a larger tax levy, with the funding produced available to be spent at the trustees' whim, regardless of what they say it will be spent on. This is just more of the same, increasing the distrust that people have with their elected officials, and this, I feel, justifies me in voting against the tax levy. Thank you.
Mr. Jamonski. Steve, a little bit, can I ask you one question?
Sure, yeah.
What did you do for a living?
I was a police officer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. I'm directing my comments toward the fire chief. April of this year, you rolled out some slide presentations on what the fire department could do to mitigate some of the expenses that we saw coming up. And I would like to know if you've implemented any of those stopgaps.
So like, are you talking salaries?
We were talking salaries, we were talking scheduling.
So yes, we have, so we've cut, answering for me. We cut nighttime trainings, we've cut outside trainings since April. We haven't approved any new outside training opportunities for our firefighters. We've eliminated, if we have a 10 to 6 shift that doesn't get covered, I cover it, or Chief Holzman covers it because we're on
That's good
salary.
news, yes.
So we've taken those hours, and actually our, Laura's not here, I'm gonna point at Laura, but we've taken our salaries as a whole in the last, probably 6 pay periods, last 3 months have gone from about 18,000 to about 12 to 15,000 every bi-weekly pay. So we are reducing our budget, salaries, without reducing or without sacrificing staffing. That's one of the things we're doing. Other than that, that's kind of where status quo, and just not spending anything unless we need it. So maintenance costs are our biggest expense. That's all we're spending, essentially, so.
So what is your plan if the levy does fail? What is your plan
So
to
our-
service the community?
If our levy does fail, we're gonna have to look at staffing, look at a opportunity for staffing and possibly cut that 1/3 position. That would be one of the big things we'd have to do, or maybe to kind of reduce the burden more. That would be probably number one.
Will you still be able to service us?
Yes, we would, but we would be limited. So limited staffing, so today, for example, we had a very significant medical call, and we had 3 people in an ambulance, and we had a structure fire at the same time. Right after we put that person in an ambulance, we got a structure fire in Chippewa Lake. Lucky, Chippewa Lake residents used a hose and put that fire out. It was the whole back of the house, or a quarter of part of the house, that was burning over the roof line, and they put that house out with a garden hose, with some contractors and another person. And I would have been there, if that fire was going, I would have probably been there for about 10 to 15 minutes by myself, waiting for Westville or Seville, or Lodi to get there, because we wouldn't have that staff.
All right,
That
thank
answer
you.
your question?
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Sir?
Excuse me. Mark Albrecht, 5948 Lafayette Road. Lifetime resident. Grandfather moved here in 42. Hardly any conveniences. Known a lot of passionate people on the fire department over the years. I think that this township has one of the finest going. Haven't had the need to use it a lot. My uncle 10 years ago, it seemed like it was 5 to 6 minutes. It's awful nice to have that kind of response. My mother's since passed, but she needed 2 rides to the hospital here in the last couple of years. And the people were absolutely professional and there before I know it. So, knowing being in the trucking business, what it costs to keep my equipment running, hasn't just doubled in the last couple of years, it's probably quadrupled. And I'm definitely gonna vote for it. I think that what the fire chief is doing to let you guys know that the amount of money that's taken to do this and give you advance notice, that we really need to look at this. And when I look at my tax bill for what I write to Lafayette Township for the road and the fire department, not that I don't grit my teeth writing the entire tax thing, but that is trivial for the service that we're getting here in this township. And I commend all of you, everybody in this room is very passionate, and I just hope it becomes more business and friendly, which I think it has. All of you have been doing a great job. But I hate to see the fire chief getting berated, or you guys getting berated for things that, I mean, you go back 40 years ago, if there were 7 people in the township meeting, right? I mean, not that it wasn't professional. I don't know what else to say other than, Bill, your situation, there will be a fire line there, there'll be sanitary, and there'll be houses all over. So, I mean, as a farmer, I hate houses. I wish that every new house came with a $50,000 pay the fire department, pay the road budget. We can do a dry hydrant for you, and dig a pond, they're out there. I don't know, fire chief, what's your feelings on dry hydrants?
Dry hydrants are great and they work well as long as you got a big enough pond to do it, so.
You already tried that, Mark, remember? It's all sand.
Yeah, but there is a water table there. We just have to dig it deep enough.
And put clay in it.
No. The aquifer, the water table, it'll be there all the time. And I'm not picking on you, man. I just know that my son lives right down the road and has miserable water too. So, I mean, that's kind of the trade-off, you know, but being at other situations, on other accidents, and waiting for somebody to come save somebody's life for 10 or 15 minutes, waiting for.
But Mark,
this.
we're not talking EMS, we're talking fire.
I know, okay.
I
am talking EMS. I have been in a situation in another township, they couldn't get their fire trucks out of the firehouse because they had no electric. Had no contingency plan to get the electric doors up and get the ambulances there. And this poor person, fortunately there was a nurse or something that knew CPR and was able to keep this person alive. But bottom line, I have nothing but good kudos to say to everybody that's in this room and everybody that's countering it too. But I mentioned something to a couple of trustees, not Chris, just the other ones. Is there a possibility that even though we're gonna be spending $1 million for a fire truck, you gotta get our head wrapped around that. I can't get my head wrapped around what I'm paying for equipment. Can we outfit a truck that could be turned to a smaller, say Canaan, or a smaller township, keep it in a 2-year or 3-year rotation? It'd be hard to get on top of. But so a lot of the work, maybe you're not gonna have that much maintenance and the warranty would cover some of it. I don't know. Either that or find something really, really old and that's prior, and this is where I'm out of turn on the fire deal, but as far as running equipment, anything to do with the diesel engine and the emission standards has made it almost impossible to keep the thing running. It's very, very expensive. Prior to 2004, if that same chassis is pretty reliable. So, about all I have to say other than that. You're doing a good job, all you're doing a good job.
Anybody else? Sir?
Yeah. Brian Logue, 6838 Egypt Road. I spoke a couple months back here, and I'll just read it real quick. We had a house fire on there, and the response was great from the chief and everybody that was there on there. Chief Holzman, Chief Kavanaugh, all the EMTs, medics, PD was there. Okay, they saved that structure on there. It just amazes me how long it takes to fucking get contractors to work, but that's a different thing. So, personally, I'm in support of it on there. I don't like paying more taxes, I really don't. But it comes down to that these darn things cost, like Mark said, and these things are so much money, and it's not so much him looking for a full-time apartment, it's just the amount of money to replace this equipment and the training, and I reiterated that 2 months ago, because I'm familiar with that, because I'm in a different type of industrial firefighting in our facility on there, but we know what it costs to train the guys, we know what it costs to maintain and purchase equipment on there. The fire hydrant part, I agree with you, I'm ticked off with that, but I went to the doggone, the engineer's office, this is what I got. And I've been there more than once. If you're on one side of the watershed, i.e. the Lake Erie watershed, or you're on the Ohio River watershed, if you're on the Ohio River side, you're not getting water. So in Egypt Road, you're on this side, you're not getting water, which means you're not getting hydrants, is what they told me on there. So the ones over on Parker, though, they're kicking over their water, finally, if you can think of this, makes its way, any groundwater, rainwater, eventually makes its way to Lake Erie, where you're from this side of Egypt Road. This part goes to the Ohio River. That's what they told me, and they told me several times. I'd like hydrants too on there. I'm sure the FD would like hydrants also everywhere else, but it has to do with those guys at the county basically saying, hey, you ain't getting it if you're on this side of the watershed. So I asked the county engineer, why don't you just purchase water from, I don't know, Lorraine County? Oh, no. That is Cleveland water, that's how it is on there. You're over here, you ain't getting it, you're over here, you guys got it. So I'm frustrated with that too, because I'd love to have water on there. And I'd love to have hydrants also, because like you said, the insurance is a lot more with none of that doggone stuff on there, so.
Just got one quick question. How do we get water for all the new subdivisions? They've
They're-
all got fire hydrants.
Exactly, they must be on that side on there. Well, that's what they've told me on there, so. Like, I don't blame it on FD, because I know they would like to have hydrants. And I can look down my road at Parker and I see hydrants, but I'm over here, and Mark, the same, you understand too, the same thing. Weren't you told the same thing? On the one side of the watershed. What's it?
The Continental Divide.
The Continental Divide, there it is right there, so.
But I mean, Westfield, I just don't know how you get the water up here, the infrastructure, and it will come with all the houses.
Yeah.
And I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, haven't they come around and said, if you'd like water, it's gonna cost you 20,000?
I just like the opportunity.
Who I
Before I
believe
die.
No, I'm saying, have they not come to you and said it's gonna cost you like 30,000 per?
No, Mark, honest to God, I swear to God. I swear to
Maybe if
God,
you
not
check
in
to the
35
engineer's
years, I have asked for it and not one person.
I will try and do some, I have been told that that was put up to the homeowners for a certain, well, I'm just
Go ahead.
repeating what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In order to get that paid for, the homeowners had to buy in so many taps at X.
Yep.
I won't know any more than that, but I will do you a favor, Bill, I will try and find some history on that, okay?
And there's fire hydrants all the way around me, Chippewa.
Yeah, there's just not enough, there's not enough
42,
tap fees to cover
162, so tell me where the divide's at, because they're all the way around the square, there's fire hydrants around me.
I'll do what I can for you, I promise.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, no, do I believe it? Not really. So I'm the same way, I'd like to have them on there, but I just,
It
I wish
doesn't
there
do
was-
any good for a fire truck and all new equipment if you don't have the
Well,
water to put it
You
out.
can, because they have pumpers they have tankers that have dump
Do
tanks
you know
on
how
them.
long it takes to empty a tanker? Ask the fire chief.
They're
Less
pretty
than 3
quick,
minutes.
their relay's pretty quick, I mean, our facility, we're a little different.
It takes 15 minutes to get to the fire hydrant.
I don't think that, I don't think it takes 15
Sir,
minutes when they
I
can go
watched
around the
barn
corner.
burn across the street from you.
That might be, man, but I'm telling you,
All
I
right,
was
folks,
there.
listen, with all due respect, this is what we want to try to
Yeah,
do.
so anyway, look, I'm just telling you,
I
it's where.
apologize. I'm not trying to be rude.
I was innocent, I didn't say a word.
I was there, I saw they could do a dump tank and load it in a hydrant, put it in a tank and do it. I could float out a refinery out of a dump tank that comes from a tanker in a matter of like 3 minutes, but that's a lot more gallons per minute. But I'm just saying though, I don't blame the FD for having no hydrants. If they had hydrants, I'm sure they maintain them. I've seen these guys flow water on there, so somebody's maintaining these hydrants on there. So anyway, I'm just saying, You can do what you want, it's free country, it's great. I'm supporting it because I just know what it costs on there. And like I said, without the medics on there, it's not good. It's not good. I see, because currently I'm living back here while our house is being reconstructed on there. I see there's 2 people here. There's not a bunch of vehicles all over here. There's not a bunch of guys fiddling around wasting money. There's 2 people here that are on duty. Am I right, chief?
Yes.
Okay, if there's a call and they're there, they go. Am I right?
Yes.
Now the house is empty until the next guys that are on call, on that rotation, gotta get there, because they don't drive to the scene anymore, am I right? For the most part. So they'll come here, and those 2 individuals already responded, right? So then they gotta see what entails and how bad it is. The next ones have to respond. During the day, I'm sure there's a shortage of people on there. There's you and Tim, which we get the luxury of having, both experienced guys with a lot of experience on there. But when the house is empty, until other guys come and gals come on there, that's the next one. If it's a full-blown structure fire, it's taken quite a bit of personnel to get there, right? To get there and get out there. Their response times are great, but it does take a bit, right? They gotta get going and everything else. If there was more people available, I think it would be better. Just like if there was more medics available, if a squad runs at night, they're gone. Another squad call comes in, what happens then? Mutual aid, LST, whoever, right? So, I'm just looking at it that way on there. Taxes, no good, but it is what it is on there. There's other taxes that are BS, like the school district tax. I don't even have a choice in that thing. It just comes out of your pay, and that's the way it is on there, so. I'm just saying, I've been out 20-some years. I think it's high time that they needed more, and I'm for it on there, so. Just thanks for the opportunity, I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
You're all right, thanks, trustees.
Anybody else? Okay. Executive session, Ty, you called for an executive session?
Discipline.
Yeah. Hiring, firing, discipline,
Pursuant to ORC 121.22 G1. Roll call vote.
Yes, parole, yes.
Fullerton, yes.
O'Neill, yes.
And joining us would be Chief Kavanaugh.
Okay. It is 8:38, so pause for executive session.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll take any donations I can get.
No, as well, if you need any calendar, I think as well, let us know, if we do need it.
Okay, it is 9:52. We have completed our executive session. No decisions were made. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. 9:52, meeting adjourned.